going to bridge the gap. How do we unlearn? How do we get to that place where we make use of this knowledge? And for this, we'll have a great panel. This is also the time when we may get 1 or 2 questions. I know there are many, but of the many, we may get just 2. And so we'll invite Dr. Claudia to come back. Ushers, please also get them water. We'll invite Dr. Claudia. You already had her introduction. And I will also be inviting, during Auntie Glass' presentation, she mentioned Amarachi like twice or thrice. Now we need to hear her voice. So I will not be introducing Amarachi. I will let her, introduce herself. Please let's welcome Amarachi Stanley Duru. Welcome our neighbor. So that name tells you that next door neighbor. Show love to our neighbor now. You're welcome to Cameroon, Amarachi. And we also have Helen Mani Are. I think Helen is from Douala, all the way from Douala to join us. Helen will also introduce herself. Would let Dr. Claudia catch her breath. Meanwhile, we'll wait for Helen to join the stage. Welcome from Douala. Douala is where the money is. Now, money human this. Data is also money. Yes, so she will tell us about the money because there's money in data science. We'll hear more from Helen. You're welcome. And so this panel, we're going to focus on bridging the gap. Remember I said we need to unlearn, right? To embrace tech and data science and take you from where you are now to where, Dr. Claudia has been talking about, quick diagnoses and treatments and all of that. But how do we get there? And also for those who never even had a 20% score in maths, how do you go from there, to excelling? Not Antigla. Antigla had 20. I'm talking about those under 20%. So we'll start with you, Amarachi. Brief introduction of who you are. And of course, we'll also get your introduction, Helen.
Good afternoon. Is it still morning? Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm really excited to be here. First, my name is Amarachi Stanley Duru. I'm Nigerian, and I came all the way from Nigeria. And this is my first time in Cameroon, so... It's a beautiful thing that's happened to me here today. And no, let me leave the other part for later. But then, so I work as a business process optimization consultant, which means that what I do is to help businesses, companies, organizations improve the processes, make things better so you are more productive and you can make more money generally. So that's what I do for business. Besides that, I'm involved in a lot of other projects where I volunteer as a support for startups and founders. So that has brought me in contact with a lot of people who are involved in the tech system, which means as a process optimization specialist, it also means that you also have to learn how to use software, how to engage and interact with AI and some of all these things. So I think that was what brought me into the data science space, and here we are. So good to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Amarachi. And Helen?
Hi everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Helen Mani, and I am the founder of a tech nonprofit called The Change Engine. And the work that we do primarily involves creating novel partnerships with different stakeholders, whether that's the government or industry players or nonprofits, to promote the use of modern technologies on the continent. And we have done a lot of work, particularly for women. We have a project for women called Accelerate Her. And this year, the theme of the entire program was AI, we've had the chance of training different companies, Adax, Perenco, Willis. And what we're really looking to do in that space is basically what we're talking about here, right? Getting women to a place where they understand that there is power to be garnered in technology, and then giving them the wherewithal to actually do so. I'm equally the founder of a conference called the Cameroon Digital Skills Campaign. It actually starts on Monday in Douala, and that will be our 6th edition. We organize in partnership with the Cameroon National Agency for Information and Communication Technologies, and with the support of companies like Google and Microsoft and Facebook and AWS, who have really accompanied us in the journey. And basically, the work that I do is this, bridging the gap and ensuring that people know. I'm a technology evangelist, which is literally, it's really telling people that there's a big, bright, bold world out there if only you get the right skills for it. So that's basically, my background is weird because I came from oil and gas. I was in petroleum. I was a cost engineer for for quite a number of years. I moved to Aberdeen and I attended a conference called Intelligent Energy, where the oil industry was trying to understand how to use data science. And this was because the oil price was dipping. So what they needed to do was figure out how they could do more with less, how they could make sure that the operations, exactly what she the operations were exactly really properly streamlined so that it was cost effective and we were not drilling and sidetracking and wasting money. So when I heard about data science, the first thing that came to mind was Africa. I was like, who needs this more than us, But ironically, we are the ones who end up using it even less than the people who supposedly already have too much. So that's I had a mentor as well who encouraged me. She was like, Helen, you will not stop talking about Cameroon. Go back. And that's how this started.
Thank you. And of course, Dr. Claudia, we had her elaborate profile at the start. And so we will jump right in. I'll stay with Helen for a second. You are already very well known. You have carved your niche in Cameroon, and you are an influencer in that sphere, because when you talk about data science, even in beyond Douala, people will say, oh, there is Helen. How did you overcome the gender disparities? Because you are one of, not many, you're one of a few women who are excelling in that space, and it is still very male dominated. So how did you overcome the gender disparities in this very tech heavy field?
I feel like getting into technology itself, for me, this is me. Getting to technology for me had a lot to do with my dad, and I loved literature. I loved to read growing up, so I was absolutely not interested in anything. I hated maths, failed it as many times as I can remember. But my dad kept telling me, oh, there you go. I failed it as many times. I hated it. Ironically, I loved physics. But what I loved about physics was the fact that you understand how things work. So I was fascinated by physics. So I did not mind doing the maths and physics because it made sense, right? We're not just looking for X to find X. There's an objective behind this quest, But I believe that getting into technology, getting into STEM, really had a lot to do, almost everything to do with my dad. And I feel like when we construct this conversation about women in technology, it's very difficult for us to do without the men. There was a year when the UN Women was very strong on he for she, and I feel like it's such a powerful thing to take into consideration. But more so, if we would try as much as possible to take them young, if we can start as early on as possible, really. I was so glad to hear that Elim Technologies has an apprenticeship program, and you said something which makes a lot of sense, right? We're tired of talking. I'm at the 6th edition of my conference, and I think I want to stop because I'm just tired of talking. You just talk, and you gather so many people in the room and you talk. And so that she has an apprenticeship program, I feel like this should be the thing that serves as a catalyst. And then you sign up immediately and like, okay, what do I do? Where do I move from here? After this, which of my sisters can I call? I already have a cousin in mind and she's so fascinated by data science. I just texted her, I was like, there's an apprenticeship program. You absolutely need to join this, because that's where we need to come to. We need to move from the point of talking to the point where we're actually doing a lot of things. So for me, it was just really passion. And you'll be very surprised to find out that my dad, who got me into STEM, was not in support of me getting into technology. He was like, you're already in oil and gas. Why do you want to move? He was like, I will not give you any money. If you lose that job in the UK, don't come back here. He said so many things. But all I could see was, first of all, I was blessed to have started working early. So I feel like that gives you the opportunity to see. It's not just about work. It's about satisfaction. And I was 26 and I was already bored out of my boots and ready to put a blow in my head. I was so tired of it. So that I found something that gave me purpose and drive, and I could see the prospects in it for millions and millions of Africans who are supposedly underserved and underprivileged and all the unders that we can think about. So for me, it was